Hey, this is Andrew Ouimet, broadcasting from St.Rose Internet Radio at the College of St.Rose, located in Albany. Today, my special guest is Sean Caffrey, who is a local audio producer that has done some work for some artists in the capital region. Sean, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Hanging in there.
All right, Sean. Well, I know that you do audio production and you do beats for some local artists, but why don't you tell me, what exactly is it that you do?
Basically, when you hear a pop track or an R&B track, a hip-hop track, it's what's called the beat. It's all the music behind the vocals. So I do all of that, basically. I come up with, like, the backing track to the song.
So basically, if you weren't there, it would just be somebody talking.
Yeah, basically.
All right. And what got you into this field?
Man, I guess it started when I was real little. I used to listen to music, and just in my head, I'd be like, man, if that was me, I would have done this different. I would have, had a different chord progression here, different drums or whatever. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but that's what I was doing when I was little. Then I got older, probably around 2003 or so. I got my own computer, and I got this piece of software that allowed me to edit audio. So I would just take, like, industry beats, like beats that were real popular, played on the radio and stuff, and I would mix them with other acapellas, other popular songs, and just make these little mashups or whatever. And, I play it for my friends and people at school. I would take those beats and chop them up and make them sound different, like a completely different sound. And then from there, I just went on to making my own beats.
So it was pretty much something that you loved to do from day one. You knew.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, have you had any training or schooling for this?
No, not really. I mean, I pretty much taught myself basically everything I know.
Is there any, like, special way that you learned? Did you just basically, you bought the software and then you threw yourself into it?
Yeah. I mean, trial and error, just figuring out what does what, and yeah.
Do you think maybe that sometimes that's just the best way to learn things, is actually getting to be hands-on with stuff?
I think so. I mean, I know me personally, I learn the best if I'm just thrown into a situation and I have to, sink or swim, basically.
So, who have you done work for?
Mostly just local people right now. Fitted is a big one. I'm one of his main producers. There's a kid I went to school with. His name's Neek. He's put out, like, probably 8-9 mixtapes.
I think I've actually heard of him.
Yeah, he's pretty big in the area. He lives in Florida right now. Yeah, he goes back and forth. He puts out a lot of music. This other kid, Boy Genius, he's local. He's from Cohoes, I believe. I just linked up with this other kid, Trizzy. He's out in Schenectady, and he's actually going to be on MTV this summer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty cool.
You think that'll get you some good exposure?
I hope so. Yeah.
Oh, that would be awesome. Now, where do you draw your inspiration from for your beats?
Man, life, really. I mean, there's no one specific source that I draw from. I'll be driving to work or something, and I'll see something happen, and I'll be like, oh, I kind of want to make a song about that. Or, I'll be in the gym or something, and I'll hear some strange song on the radio that I've never heard before. And I'll be like, oh, I want to sample that and make that into a beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, do you think that maybe from your life experience that you had, that has made your beats maybe as successful as they have? Because you seem pretty successful to me. I mean, if you're doing all that work for local artists and even one of them's going to be on MTV, I mean, you have to be doing something right.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think just the fact that I've been doing it so long, and I've been a fan of music since I can remember, since I was real young. And I know what I want my music to sound like. I'm a huge perfectionist, so if I don't feel that it's absolutely perfect as I can get it, then I'll scrap it. I won't send it to anybody.
Yeah, I'm like that too.
Yeah.
With a bunch of things, if things don't sound right, there's no point in even putting them out if it's not my best work.
Absolutely.
So, do you have any specific people that influenced you to do this?
In the beginning, a huge influence was Kanye West. Probably around 2004 or so, when I really started to get into making beats, he came out with his first solo project. It was The College Dropout.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my favorite albums ever.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Just overall, the production side of it is just, he's got so many soulful samples in there, and it was just a completely different sound than what was popular at the time. And when I first started making beats, I just tried to make Kanye beats, basically.
Well, that's good to have something to, like, model yourself after, so you know, wow, this is what I want to do, this is what I want my music to sound like, and this is how I want it to flow.
Definitely.
So, working with all these artists, you ever clash with them? Is it ever hard working with them? Like, do you ever give them a beat and it's not exactly what they're looking for?
Sometimes. I mean, artists have different tastes. Like, sometimes I'll play them a beat that I think is really dope, and I could see them on it, and they're just not feeling it, and they don't want it. But a lot of times I'll make like a skeleton of a beat, which is like a real basic idea of what I want the song to sound like. And I'll bring the artist in and I'll be like, what do you think of this? And then we'll kind of collab on it and be like, well, we could change this or we could change that or make this sound like this. You know, I'll work with the artist to make the best possible product. As far as clashing with artists, I've definitely had a few arguments in the studio.
Yeah.
You know, I think a project should go a certain way. They don't see it that way, but, you know, you're going to come across that.
Yeah,
So
it's just one of the, it's obviously just one of those tasks that no matter what, you're always going to clash with somebody. You can't get along with somebody all the time. Now, what has been maybe the worst experience working with them? You ever given them a beat that you worked on for a long time and you're like, wow, this is really good. And you gave it to them and they were like, not exactly what I was looking for.
Yeah, I mean, that happens a lot. I try not to take it too personally. I mean, I like the music that I make, but I make all different types of music, so some people aren't going to like everything I make, and that's fine. The worst experience I've had, probably just not being paid when I was told I was going to be paid.
Yeah.
Basically, I sent artists beats and then just never heard back.
Oh, that sucks.
I don't even know if they used the tracks that I sent them. You know what I mean? Unreliable people. In this business, you come across a lot of those. And it's annoying, but, you know, you learn to get past it.
Yeah, I can imagine it'd be frustrating, but to get your beats out there and stuff and finding that one artist that you can link up with, it's probably worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Now, tell me about your artistic process when you go to create a beat.
Basically, I mean, I'll just sit down. I either start with a sample or I'll just start with a blank slate. If I start with a sample, I pretty much have an idea of what the end product is going to be like. So I'll take the sample song, I'll chop it up, take all the pieces out that I want to use, line it all up, and then just go in and be like, all right, I want a snare that sounds like this. So I'll go in, and I have like gigabytes and gigabytes of sound samples and songs to sample from. So finding the right sound is never really a problem for me. So yeah, I'll just go in and find the different drum sounds and sequence it all up, break it out into verses and hooks, and yeah, just kind of tweak everything till it sounds right.
How long does this normally take?
Anywhere from, 15 minutes to, sometimes I'll work days or even weeks on one beat.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. It really depends on the project.
Now, obviously you can't be creative 24/7. I think that's just impossible for anybody to do. I mean, everybody goes through a mental block.
Definitely.
Do you ever find yourself in a mental block and you feel like it's the same one and you use the same exact way to get yourself out of it? Like, what do you do when you're in a mental block?
Well, recently I've discovered something that really helps. When I find myself in a mental block, I just try to kind of pull myself back and not try to force anything. When I go in there and try to force music out, it never sounds good. So I'll try to take a break from making beats for a little while and just try to go, do something else creative. I also write, I edit videos for people. I do a lot of creative things. And I'll go do that and I'll go listen to like a whole bunch of different kinds of music and just kind of, refresh my brain, try to get some more,
kind of suck the world in, get some creativity from that.
Exactly, kind of recharge my batteries.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like everybody needs that at some point.
Definitely.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break now and give the audience a chance to listen to some of your work. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, great.
Okay, we'll be right back. Okay, welcome back to the program. This is Andrew Weemet with local audio producer Sean Caffrey. Now, Sean, after listening to your beat, obviously you can tell that you put a lot of work into all of your beats. Is there any specific beats that you remember that you have just seen as your favorite? That you're like, wow, I'm really proud of this and I want to show people it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like I said before, I work with this local artist, Fitted, and his latest project is a mixtape that came out a few months ago. It's called Between Now and Forever, and I produced 4 songs on that. And 2 of them really stand out to me. One was I Miss You, and another one was called Monsters. And both of those tracks, I'm really proud of them. Just the emotion that you can feel in the song and the quality of the production. I'm proud of those.
See, that's good to have work that you're proud of.
Absolutely.
It must be awesome to show people and then just see the reaction on their face when they love it. I think that's a great feeling for anybody.
Yeah, definitely.
What has been the most exciting part of your audio production career?
I don't know, probably just meeting so many different kinds of people. I've traveled all up and down, New York State and, the East Coast, basically. Northeast, really. And just meeting different people and having conversations and talking about music and meeting people that have the same love for music and for art as you do. It's just, it's amazing.
Now, if you were to give somebody some pointers about what they need to be a good audio producer, what would those pointers be?
First, I would probably say, do your research, especially with, YouTube and the internet. It's just right there at your fingertips. There's so much to go and learn. I spend a lot of my time just looking up, songs by different artists, any genre, just to get any inspiration of any type of song that I can. So yeah, I would definitely recommend that. You definitely have to have a certain kind of ear for something like this. It's funny because I'll be working on a beat and I'll have friends there, and I'll play a certain section and I'll be like, oh, I need to tweak this, this, and this, and I'll play the same section over and over and over and over and over, and my friends will be like, dude, it sounds the exact same every time you play it, and I can hear the difference. I tweak something every time, but the average listener really can't. So you have to train your ear really to be tuned in to what you're doing and be able to hear all the variations and different instruments and things like that. So definitely have to have a trained ear.
Yeah, I mean, looking at something over and over again, it's like when I do editing for any video, I can look at something over and over and over again. People have said to me, too, you're not really changing anything, but that little bit matters to you.
Absolutely,
So.
definitely.
Okay, so what are some natural traits that you feel a person should have to be an audio producer?
Well, like I said, the trained ear is definitely one of them.
Yeah.
You have to be driven. You have to be humble enough to say, all right, this specific thing isn't exactly working. Let me tear this all down. Let me try something else. You know what I mean? You just got to be able to push through the creative blocks and just do what you love, relax and let it come.
Yeah, you got to basically be in a zone, I feel, when you're creating music, just because music is so soulful and everything, like everything about it. You have to bring a bunch of things together to make good sound.
Definitely, yeah.
If it's not good, it obviously doesn't sell. All right, so now let's talk about your future a little bit here.
Sure.
Okay, what are your future aspirations? Like, where do you want this to lead?
Well, really, I'd like to make a living off of, just being creative, making music, making art. If I can live comfortably, just, making music, then I guess that's really the ultimate goal. I mean, there's a bunch of different things I'd like to do. I want to travel, want to see the world. I want to work with, a bunch of different artists, and there's different projects that I want to do before I'm out of the game.
All right, let's think about this real quick.
Okay.
What would your dream situation be? Like, if you could pick a rapper, an artist, or anybody in this world to work for.
Work for?
Yeah.
That's tough. I would probably say Eminem.
And why is that?
I mean, I've been a fan of his since, the late 90s. And I can tell he's really in it just for the love of hip-hop and making music. And he doesn't seem like the type that would force me to make a certain kind of record just to sell records, just to make money.
Yeah.
We would be in the studio just making music because we love it. That's the kind of person I want to work for.
Yeah. I think our generation growing up with Eminem, I feel like he's pretty much been there the whole entire time. He's still even relevant now.
Yeah.
I think that's a good choice.
Absolutely.
Now, if you could have one person to mentor you now, who would it be?
One person to mentor. Man, probably Kanye West. Just because, I respect him so much as a music producer, and the things that he's done are just amazing. I love to just sit and pick his brain.
Would that be a person probably top on your list that you want to meet
Absolutely.
someday?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
That would be awesome.
Huge fan.
Obviously, creating music and everything, it can get tough sometimes, especially with, just life getting in the way.
Yeah.
Who's been your biggest supporter?
My mom, probably.
And what has she done for you?
She's just always been there, Me and my mom are really close. I can call her basically whenever I want, and just, if I'm having a bad day or, I just don't feel good, I'll call her up, and she always makes me feel better. She's always believed in me no matter what. She never looked at me like I was crazy when I told her I wanted to be a music producer, for a living. She's just like, all right, I can tell that you really want that, so go for it, knock it out of the park. She's always just been there.
Yeah.
Always believed in me.
Moms are an amazing thing.
Absolutely.
You always have one person that'll always have your back no matter what you want to do, even if it sounds crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. If one day somebody just told you you can't produce any more music, if you had to pick a new career to go into, what would it be?
Oh, man. It would definitely have to be something creative. I've always wanted to try acting.
Really?
Yeah, just to be able to be somebody else, as a living.
Yeah.
It just looks so much fun. It looks so cool. I've actually done a little bit of acting.
Oh, really? Where?
Locally, just I've worked with this local comedian, Steve Sarsfield, and we've worked on different projects, we've shot commercials and internet TV shows and stuff like that. They were real small parts, but I could definitely see how people say you catch the acting bug. It's a blast, dude. So,
You really enjoyed it, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, I've done a little bit of acting and some things too. I mean, I've always had fun with it. I always feel like you can always just bring out different personalities in yourself and stuff. Okay. Well, are you currently working on anything?
Yeah, I'm always working on something. A couple of the artists I mentioned earlier, Boy Genius is coming out with a mixtape, I think next month maybe? Maybe it's this month. I don't know. Pretty soon. I'm going to have a bunch of tracks on that one that I produced. Fitted is coming out with a CD in May, and that one is called Vacant Thoughts, that's what it's called. And all the tracks will be produced by me. The artist Neek, he's working on Kill 'Em All Volume 3, I believe. And I just sent him some tracks for that. My local DJ, VAR, the All-Star, he's working on a mixtape, so I sent him some tracks. Like I said, working with Trizzy. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of things I'm working on right now. Just trying to stay busy, stay relevant.
So if one of these rappers hit it big, let's say all of them hit it big, dream situation, which one would you want to go with and why?
Oh, man. Probably say Fitted, because, I mean, I've been with him the longest, and, you know, that's my dude. He's a good friend, and we get along. I went on tour with him last spring. We had a ball, so if I were to go with anyone, I'd probably go with him.
Yeah, do you feel like kind of a sense of loyalty to him?
Absolutely.
You guys been there. Talk to me about your relationship with Fitted. How long have you known him?
A year and a half or so, maybe almost 2 years.
Yeah. So what do you like about him?
He's driven. He's real driven. He knows what he wants, and he's not afraid to just, you know, do what it takes to go get it. He's super, super honest, too. Like, if he doesn't like something, he'll tell you straight up, you know, that sucks.
Yeah.
You know,
he doesn't
let's do something different.
sugarcoat it, try to make it easier for you or anything.
Absolutely. You know, and that stings sometimes, but I absolutely appreciate that. Like, it makes me a better artist, a better person, just, you know, just hearing that honesty.
Yeah. Do you think honesty is probably something that everybody in that field should have?
Ideally, yeah. I know at least where pop music is right now, there's a lot of disingenuous people out there, we'll put it that way. They seem to be out there just making music to make money. You know, they'll say anything on a record, even if it's not true. You know, I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan of real music, honest music, and just, you know, being respectful to your craft. I wish more people would be as honest as Fitted is.
That's awesome. Really is. I mean, it's good to work with honest people because then they tell you exactly how it is. They don't waste your time. That's got to be awesome to work with. Now, you just mentioned that a lot of people these days, they aren't exactly that honest or anything. Like who? Who are you referring to when you say that? I know some big names like Drake and people that have problems with, but is there other people that you're thinking of? Or?
I mean, Drake's one of them. And don't get me wrong, I like Drake's music. You know what I mean? He's a pop artist, though. I listened to his last album that came out, and I liked it, but only the tracks where he was being himself.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You could tell, like, the singles that they played on the radio were completely different from the rest of the album. And he was saying things that just aren't true. You know what I mean? He said something about, hype me up and I'll catch a body. Like, that's not happening. You're not taking anyone out, Drake.
Yeah, you know. You feel like he's just lying, trying to get some money out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I don't like. Rick Ross seems to be another type like that. He seems to be always just talking about, you know, selling drugs and how much money he has, which is fine. You know, if you have that money, then, you know, whatever. But if you're going to talk about money, if you're going to talk about drugs, be more clever. You know what I mean? That type of stuff has been done. And I don't know about you, but I can't relate to having millions and millions of dollars, blowing 10 grand at the bar in one night. I can't relate to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
When I hear lyrics like that, I would think in my head, wow, you blew 10 grand at the bar. Come on. You really spent all that money that one night.
Yeah,
I guess I can see what you're saying now when it's like not that honest. I mean, I feel like old rappers back in the day, like Eminem, Run DMC, Jay-Z even, I feel like they were all a lot more real, especially with like Tupac and Biggie and how they died and everything. I feel like rappers today kind of don't do it because they love what they're doing. I feel like they do it for the paycheck. I feel they do it for the fame. I feel like they do it for the power that they get over people.
Absolutely. Well, you think about it, you know, 10, 20 years ago, hip-hop was still fairly new, and it was part of the counterculture. It wasn't like pop culture. You know what I mean? So it was kind of rebelling against the mainstream, and then all of a sudden it became mainstream, so, you know, where do we go from there? It's kind of a confusing time. But there's still real hip-hop out there. You just kind of got to dig for it.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for coming in, Sean, today. I really
no
appreciate
problem.
it. It was an awesome interview.
Thanks a lot.
This is Andrew Ouimet, broadcasting from St.Rose Internet Radio at the College of St.Rose, located in Albany. That was Sean Caffrey, and this is our goodbye. Bye.
See ya.